You just got a raise, not a small one either, a real one. The kind you actually asked for, prepared for, stayed late for. Your salary went from 55,000 to 72,000, and for about 4 days, life felt genuinely different. You drove to work differently, you sat in meetings differently, you even checked your phone differently, like someone who had finally cracked a code that everyone around them was still struggling with. For 4 days, you felt ahead. For 4 days, the math made sense. For 4 days, you were the person you'd been working toward becoming. Then something strange happened. Your rent went up because you moved somewhere slightly nicer. Your car payment got bigger because the old one did not feel right anymore for someone at your level. Your dinners out got a little more frequent, your wardrobe got a little more upgraded, and your subscriptions got a little more premium. The gym you joined actually has towel service now. The coffee you buy has an extra shot and a name written on the cup. And now, 6 months later, it is a Thursday night in November, and you are sitting at your kitchen table with your laptop open, and you are looking at your bank account, and you are doing the math again. The same math you did last Thursday. The same math you did the Thursday before that. And the number on that screen looks almost identical to what it looked like before the raise. You make 17,000 more dollars a year than you did. You should be ahead. You should feel it somewhere. But you do not. And you cannot figure out why. This is the salary trap. And the worst part is not that you fell into it. The worst part is that nobody told you it existed. Nobody pulled you aside on the day you got promoted and said, hey, congratulations, now here's the thing that is going to silently undo everything you just worked for if you are not paying attention. You just got the raise, you felt great, and the trap closed around you so slowly and so comfortably that it never felt like a trap at all. It felt like a life upgrade. It felt like progress. And that is exactly why almost nobody escapes it. My name is Ronnie, and I spend a genuinely unhealthy amount of time thinking about why people who earn more money keep ending up with less of it. If you have ever gotten a raise and somehow ended up feeling more broke 6 months later, not less, make sure you subscribe right now, because today we are going to talk about the one mechanism that is quietly eating your income alive, why almost everyone falls for it without ever realizing it is happening, and exactly what to do differently so it stops costing you the financial life you are actually trying to build. Here is something the financial world does not want to say out loud. Your salary is not your wealth. It never was. I know that sounds backwards. We have been told our entire lives that the path to financial security runs directly through a better job, a higher title, a bigger paycheck. Work hard, get promoted, earn more. The formula is so clean and so universally accepted that questioning it feels almost irresponsible. Except the formula is not working, and the numbers are not subtle about it. The average American household income has risen significantly over the last 2 decades, even after adjusting for inflation, and yet the personal savings rate has dropped to one of the lowest points in recorded history. People are earning more than ever and saving less than ever. Those two facts should not be able to exist at the same time. They are pointing in completely opposite directions, but they do coexist every year, consistently. And the reason they coexist has everything to do with what we are talking about today. Let me introduce you to someone. His name is David. He is 34 years old. He lives in a 2-bedroom apartment on the 4th floor of a building with a rooftop terrace he has used twice. He drives a leased car because he told himself when he signed the paperwork that it was partially a work expense. He eats out 4 or 5 nights a week because after the kind of days he has, cooking feels like one demand too many. He has a gym membership, 3 streaming services, a clothing subscription box, and a coffee habit that runs about $90 a month. He earns $85,000 a year, which is genuinely good money, the kind of number his 22-year-old self would have considered proof that everything had worked out. He also has $3,200 in savings. That is the whole number, not $3,200 in one account and more somewhere else. $3,200. After a decade of working, after 6 separate salary increases, after building a career he is genuinely proud of, and a lifestyle that looks from the outside like someone who has figured things out, $3,200 is the complete picture of David's financial safety net. David is not stupid. He is not careless. He is not making obvious mistakes he could easily see and fix if someone pointed them out. David is caught in the trap, and the trap is invisible to him because it was never labeled as a trap. Every single decision that led him here was labeled as something else entirely. It was labeled as a reward. It was labeled as a reasonable upgrade. It was labeled as what people at his income level do. The trap has a technical name. Economists and behavioral psychologists call it lifestyle inflation, but that name makes it sound clinical and contained, like something that happens to other people in case studies. What it actually feels like from the inside is just called living your life. It feels like finally enjoying what you worked for. It feels like you are catching up to the version of yourself you always imagined you would become. And that is exactly what makes it so effective. The most dangerous traps always feel like something good while they are closing. Here is how the mechanism works in plain language. Every time your income increases, your brain recalibrates what a normal life looks like. The apartment that felt comfortable at $45,000 a year starts to feel a little tight at $60,000. Not dramatically tight, not crisis tight, just slightly below what feels right given where you are now. The car that was perfectly fine last year now carries a quiet embarrassment you cannot quite name but can definitely feel when you pull into the company parking lot. Vacations you used to take feel like the vacations of a slightly earlier, slightly less established version of yourself. None of this is conscious, none of it is calculated. It is just how human psychology responds to a change in available resources. We expand to fill whatever space we are given. Financially, most people expand to fill every single dollar of income they receive, and then a little more every single time that income grows. There is a term in behavioral economics for the underlying psychology. It is called hedonic adaptation. Your brain is wired to return to a baseline level of satisfaction regardless of what changes in your external circumstances. The raise that felt incredible in week 1 is completely normal by week 8. The apartment that felt luxurious when you first moved in is just home by month 3. The new car smell fades. The upgraded life stops feeling like an upgrade and starts feeling like the floor, and once something becomes the floor, your brain starts looking for the ceiling again. It needs the next raise, the next upgrade, the next step up, just to feel the way you felt 4 days after the last one. It is a treadmill, a very well-dressed, very comfortable, very socially acceptable treadmill. And almost everyone around you is on it right now, including people you look at and think have it figured out. Now let me show you what this actually looks like in real money over real time. Because this is where it stops being interesting to think about and starts being something that should genuinely change the way you make decisions. Take two people, same age, same starting point, 25 years old, both earning $55,000 at their first real job. Same industry, same city, same educational background. For all practical purposes, identical starting positions on the same day. Person A, let us call her Maya, makes one decision before she cashes her first paycheck. She decides that every raise she receives for the rest of her career, she will automatically invest a minimum of 50% of the increase before her lifestyle has any claim on it. Her life still gets better over time. She still enjoys her raises. She still upgrades things as her career progresses, but half of every increase goes to work before she ever has the chance to experience it as spendable income. Her quality of life moves upward slowly, intentionally, not all at once. Person B, let us call him Derek, does what almost everyone does. Every raise arrives and his lifestyle organically adjusts upward to match the new income within a few months. He is comfortable, he is living well, he is enjoying everything he has earned. From the outside, Derek looks more successful than Maya in nearly every visible way. Nicer apartment, nicer car, nicer restaurants on the weekends. Nobody looking at the two of them side by side would think Derek was making an error. Fast forward 15 years, Maya is now earning $90,000. Because she kept her lifestyle anchored closer to her original baseline and consistently redirected the difference, she's been investing roughly $800 a month on average over those 15 years. At a 7% average annual return, she is sitting on approximately $250,000 in investments. Her money is generating around $17,500 a year in returns without her doing anything at all, while she sleeps, while she works, while she has dinner on a Saturday night. Every single day, her portfolio is quietly compounding. Derek is also earning $90,000 a year. He has had an identical career trajectory. He has received the same raises. He has worked just as hard. He has also, and I want you to hold this number in your mind for a moment, $11,000 in savings, same income, same career arc, same 15 years, $250,000 versus $11,000. The only variable, the only thing that was ever different between Maya and Derek was what they chose to do with the gap between their income and their spending every single time that gap had a chance to grow. Derek is not behind because he was irresponsible. He never missed a bill. He never made a single catastrophic financial decision. He is behind because nobody sat him down at 25 and explained that every raise he would ever receive was going to arrive with a test attached to it. And the test was this: can you let the gap grow before your lifestyle closes it? Most people fail that test every single time without ever knowing the test was happening. And this brings us to the thing that Derek never understood, the single concept that changes everything, which I want to spend some time on because most people hear it and nod and then go right back to failing the test. Your income is not your financial power. Your gap is. The gap. The space between what you earn and what you spend, that is the only number that actually builds wealth. Not the salary figure, not the title on the business card, not the amount on the pay stub. The gap. A person earning $50,000 a year with a $10,000 annual gap is more financially powerful than someone earning $120,000 a year with a $2,000 gap. Not eventually, not on a long enough timeline, right now, today, because the first person has money working for them. The second person has a very expensive lifestyle and very little else. But every cultural signal you receive is pointing you away from the gap and toward the income. We celebrate promotions. We ask each other what we do for a living and do quiet salary calculations based on the answer. We measure career success and compensation benchmarks and title progressions. Nobody at a dinner party asks you what your gap is. Nobody congratulates you on keeping your lifestyle flat for 3 years while your investments compounded. The visible rewards go to income. The actual wealth comes from the gap, and the salary trap works precisely because it attacks the gap invisibly. It does not take your raise away. It does not steal from you directly. It just ensures that every increase in your income gets immediately absorbed by an equivalent or greater increase in your spending. So the gap never grows and your wealth never builds. And here is the part that should genuinely frustrate you, because it frustrated me when I fully understood it. The trap is not an accident. The entire infrastructure of modern consumer culture is specifically engineered to guarantee that your spending rises with your income. Every algorithm, every advertisement, every social comparison mechanism you interact with daily is calibrated to show you a life that is just slightly above whatever you are currently living. Not wildly above. That would feel out of reach and you would dismiss it. Just slightly above. Just enough to make where you currently are feel like a temporary stop on the way to somewhere better rather than a perfectly acceptable destination. The car you drive is fine, but have you noticed what people at your income level are driving these days? The apartment you live in is comfortable, but given what you earn now, you could really justify something with a proper home office. The vacation you took last year was nice, but the people in your network seem to be going somewhere a little more interesting. None of this is a coordinated conspiracy. It is just an extraordinarily efficient system that generates revenue every single time the gap in your financial life gets smaller. And it closes that gap one completely reasonable, completely justifiable upgrade at a time. So what do you actually do? Two. Because understanding the trap intellectually is one thing. Escaping it is a different problem entirely. The first thing you have to do is make the decision before the money arrives. This is not just a useful suggestion. It is the foundational psychological move that everything else depends on. If you wait until after a raise to decide how to allocate it, your brain already has a plan. It has been building that plan since the moment you knew the raise was coming, the apartment search started, the car research began. The mental inventory of what you could now comfortably afford has already been running in the background. By the time the money hits your account, your lifestyle has functionally already claimed it. You are not deciding how to spend or raise at that point. You are rationalizing decisions your brain already made. You need to pre-commit before that process starts. Concretely, this means that before a raise takes effect, you decide exactly what percentage of the increase goes directly to automatic investment contributions. Not what is left after you adjust the lifestyle. Not what you think you might be able to squeeze out. The first allocation before anything else gets a vote. You set up the automatic transfer, you increase the contribution percentage, you move the money before it ever sits in a checking account long enough to feel like it belongs to your present life. A simple rule that is easy to remember and genuinely hard to argue with: for every raise you receive, invest a minimum of 50% of the increase. Every single time. Not when it feels convenient. Not when it feels convenient. Not when the timing is right. Not after you have handled the other things first. every time, automatically, immediately. This one rule, applied consistently throughout an entire career, is the only real difference between Maya and Derek's stories. That is the whole mechanism. It is not sophisticated. It requires no financial expertise. It just requires deciding in advance and then refusing to unmake that decision every time your lifestyle starts lobbying for the other 50%. The second thing is to stop measuring your financial life by your income and start measuring it by your net worth. Your salary is what you earn. Your net worth is what you keep. These two numbers can move in completely opposite directions, and for most people throughout most of their careers, they do. Income climbs steadily. Net worth barely moves. The number on the pay stub keeps improving. The number that actually tells you whether you are financially secure. The gap between everything you own and everything you owe stays almost flat for years. Start tracking your net worth every quarter. Not your bank balance, your net worth. Every asset, investments, savings, property equity, retirement accounts, minus every liability, loans, credit card balances, car payments, everything you owe. That final number is the only honest report card of your financial life. Income is a vanity metric. Net worth is the real measurement. And until you start watching it the way David checks his bank account every Thursday night, you will keep confusing the appearance of financial progress with the thing itself. The third thing is to treat the gap as the first expense, not the last. Most people structure their financial life in this sequence: pay to fix bills, cover the lifestyle, invest whatever is left over. The problem is that there is never anything left over. There never will be. The lifestyle expands perfectly and completely to consume every available dollar, and saving from what remains is like trying to fill a container with a hole in the bottom. It is a sequencing problem, not a discipline problem. The order is simply wrong. Flip the sequence. The investment moves first. The moment your paycheck arrives, a predetermined amount transfers automatically to your investment account before a single optional expense gets paid, before a single dinner gets ordered, before a single discretionary decision gets made. You pay your future self first with the same non-negotiable certainty you pay your rent. Everything else works with whatever remains. This is why automation is not a feature of a good financial system. It is the system. Willpower is not a reliable financial strategy. Willpower runs out. Willpower has bad weeks. Willpower goes completely quiet when you are exhausted and stressed, and your brain is making a compelling case that you have earned a reward. Automation does not have bad weeks. Automation does not get tired. Automation executes the same plan on the worst day of your year that it executes on the best day of your year. Remove the decision from your hands entirely by making it once and letting the system carry it forward every month without you. Now let me bring this back to the Thursday night we started with. You got a raise. $55,000 to $72,000. $17,000 more dollars a year. 6 months later, you are sitting at the kitchen table, the laptop is open, and the number on the screen is almost exactly what it was before the raise happened. Here's what that same story looks like with one decision made differently. Before the raise takes effect, you decide to automatically invest $500 of the new money every month. Not all of it. Not even a dramatic portion of it. $500. The other $900 of the monthly increase goes directly into your life. Your lifestyle still improves. You still feel the raise. You eat at slightly better restaurants. You do not drive a car you are embarrassed by. But $500 a month moves to work the moment it arrives, before your brain has any say in the matter, before your lifestyle knows it exists. In 5 years at 7% average annual returns, that one decision generates approximately $35,000. In 10 years, nearly $87,000. In 15 years, over $150,000. In 20 years, that single decision made once, automated, and then left alone produces over $260,000. You did not sacrifice your life to get there. You did not cut every enjoyment or eat lunches you were ashamed of or drive something that embarrassed you. You just decided, before your brain had time to make competing plans, that half the raise belonged to a version of you that did not exist yet. And here's what nobody tells you about the moment real numbers start accumulating in that investment account. It changes your psychology in a way that compounds exactly like the money does. When you have nothing saved, every financial decision carries a background frequency of fear. Every unexpected expense is a potential crisis. Every job you dislike is a cage you cannot afford to leave. Every risk that could change your life for the better feels like a threat you cannot survive absorbing. But when you have 50,000 working for you, then 100,000, then 200,000, the fear starts to change its shape. Not because the money buys you things, because the money buys you options. You can leave the job that is eroding you. You can start the thing you've been postponing for 3 years. You can take the pay cut to do work that actually matters to you. You can say no to the opportunity that pays well but costs you something more important. None of those choices are structurally available to someone whose entire income flows directly into a lifestyle that requires every dollar to keep functioning. Every one of those choices opens the moment the gap has been growing instead of closing. That is what the salary trap actually takes from you. Not just the money you could have saved, not just the compound returns you could have earned. It takes the decisions, it takes the auctions. It takes the version of your life that only becomes possible when the fear is small enough that you can afford to choose something other than what is safe. David is still in his fourth floor apartment doing the Thursday night math, not because his income was wrong, not because his career went badly, because every raise he ever received arrived and his lifestyle was already waiting at the door for it. The gap never grew, the investments never accumulated, and without the investments, the options never materialized. He is still on the treadmill, a nicer treadmill than the one he started on, but a treadmill. The trap is real, the mechanism is invisible, and it is running right now on almost everyone you know, including the people who look like they have it together. But it is not a permanent condition, it is a default setting. And defaults can be changed with one decision made before the money arrives, executed automatically, repeated without exception every single time income grows. There is a moment that people who escape the trap describe in remarkably similar terms. They are usually somewhere ordinary: a kitchen, a car, an unremarkable Tuesday. And they look at their investment account and they do the math, not the Thursday night math, not the how am I going to cover everything math, but a different kind of math. The quiet math of someone who realizes that the money working for them is now producing more than some people earn at jobs they drive to every morning. Not because they were exceptional, not because they got lucky or born into the right circumstances or made a brilliant investment at exactly the right time. Because they decided, early enough to matter, that the raise was a test. And unlike almost everyone around them, they decided in advance to pass it. If this opens something for you today, subscribe. Because next week we are going to talk about exactly where to put that money once you have protected it, which accounts, which investments, which order, so that every dollar you manage to keep actually works as hard as it possibly can for you. That is the next piece of this, and you are going to want to see it.